Welcome back. 2 months ago, roughly, I started a project boat. That boat was trashed out. This is a continuation of that project. Please enjoy. So here she is. Now, like I said, the link is in the description. If you want to go see the first video on this boat, it's there. To get all this nastiness off, I thought it was going to be kind of easy. I was hoping it would just slough off, at least the stuff along the waterline. It did not. It took quite a bit of white vinegar and CLR, time, a lot of scrubbing, and a pressure washer helped. This was not just algae sitting there that needed to be scrubbed off or flaked off. But it did come off. And the good thing is, it didn't take all that long, and I'm trying to inspire you to be able to get motivated to do something with an old boat that doesn't require wet sanding. None of this, FYI, required wet sanding. So anyway, what you're going to see here is just kind of before, after, me just kind of patting myself on the shoulder going, yay, I did it. But mostly it's just kind of showing you this is possible. Now, I've got terrible light for this, I'm not going to lie. The sun is kind of hiding behind some clouds, and so you're not going to see everything that I want you to see. But I think you're starting to get a hint of what's to come. And that's all this is. Just me showing you what was from what is and what is from what was. None of that made sense, but you know what I mean. Hey, look at that. The sun kind of came out. All right, now you can see a little bit more of what I'm throwing down. Now at this point, I haven't put any sort of protection or wax or anything on it. This is just the compound after it's been cleaned. I'm just inspecting to make sure there's no swirls, no dull spots, and from what I can tell, and I know that the sun dot reflection here isn't exactly what I see, but from what I can see, it looks really good. So in this video, I'm going to show you what it took to get here, how you can go about it, and on the way, there's a couple beer reviews, so that's awesome, if you like beer. If you don't, I apologize. By the way, I've just been informed that 2% of my viewing audience are female, so maybe I'll start doing wine reviews. Unless I get messages from the 2% of you who say that you like beer. In that case, I'm just going to stick with beer. Honestly, though, I'm just happy to have doubled my female audience. That's great. Thank you so much, and I hope I don't offend much. Welcome back. I figured this is a good enough boat that I'll bring out one of my favorites. It's a new favorite. It's by Elysian, or again, some people call it Elysian, which I think is pompous and stupid. But it's called Dawn Again. And I gotta say, it's one of the best beers that I've had this year. I think I've had maybe 6 or 8 six-packs of this in a row, which is rare for me. Usually I, try to change it up every sixer. That being the case, let's go ahead and see what this one's like. Here, I'll pour it more appropriately. Okay, and because it's a hazy, we want to do a little swizzle at the bottom, pick up that yeast, take some of the bite out of the bitterness of the IPA. All right, there, you can't complain about that, right? Okay, so the can says, when tomorrow turns to today, all we have is now. Dawn again, no better time for a cold, reliable, hazy pale with citrus-forward aromatics, a pillow-soft mouthfeel, and well-balanced hop flavoring with cashmere, Saboro, and Chinook complexity without overthinking it. Blah-bitty-blah-bitty-blah. 6.8, I believe. Who cares? It's a good beer. So, thanks for joining me. I'll get to the rest of this boat in just a little bit, but for right now, cheers. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. It's almost too good. Typically, I have 2 beers a day. I find that I'm having like 2.5. And I'll pour like 1.5 beers into a glass, and I'll have that, and I'm like, that was good. But 12 ounces just isn't enough. Anyway, to my homies. All right, let's get back into this piece of boat. Set up here, I've taped off all the things that I don't want to destroy with my buffer, and I've got my Super Duty And regardless whether it's in a heavy cut bottle or not, this is heavy cut, or at least 90% heavy cut. And my Perfected EXAC. And if you're wondering what the other 10% is, it's the marine compounding and finishing material, which isn't a bad compound. It just has a lot of dust. So I don't use it anymore, but it is effective. And quite honestly, for about 30 years, it was the end-all be-all of how to polish a boat. So if you ever need to, this stuff's not bad. This is better and actually a little bit more powerful or aggressive than this. It doesn't seem like it because it doesn't have any grit, but it's powerful, so watch yourself. Anyway, I got my buffer up here, back there. I've got my random orbital polisher out of the way of the dust, some clean rags, some stripper, and the restructure fire glaze polish. So that's all kind of out of my way, so I'm not trashing it with dust. And then I've got the entirety of the boat that I don't want to destroy taped off. Now in this particular boat, I'm just drawing a line down the middle here. I'm going to do 1/4 of this boat, just kind of like I did the last section. The difference is this time I'm going to show you everything I do. So if you'll allow me to set up here, I got to spur some pads, get them ready for some Super Duty, and then I'm going to go to town on this area right in here. 1 second. Okay, now if you listen to 3M, they'll tell you got to clean all this off really nicely, and then you can go ahead and wax it and buffer it. But I don't see the point in wasting all my time waxing this, or cleaning it rather, especially considering how seriously aggressive Super Duty is, how gritty it is, how monstrously powerful it is. So if you think a little dust is going to hinder your finish, by all means, clean the boat. But if you think that, you know, some diesel and some dust combined are going to be a little bit more aggressive, then, well, don't waste your time. Nice and slow. Okay, you guys saw that little hop? It's because I hit this corner. If you're going super fast, this would have gone really, really hard. You could actually do some damage to yourself or the boat or the buffer. So when you're in a tight spot, slow down. There's no need to go fast. And right there is exactly why you don't go fast with the buffer on a boat. Now I know you see me doing it all the time. In fact, most of my videos I'm at full throttle, just spinning like crazy. It's where I can do it, and it's after almost 20 years of experience doing it. Don't try to go fast on a boat, please. You're going to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt the boat. It's not worth it. And I've got videos, in fact, I'll tell you what, there'll be another link down below that show that speed really isn't saved at all by going fast. It just makes you feel cooler. That's it. That's all it is. And if you think to yourself really hard, that's all it is. Trust me, guys, I've been doing this a long time. I've had arguments with detailers on my crew, on other people's crews. You know, when it comes to it, nobody can show me that there's a difference. So that's all I'm saying. Just slow down so you don't hurt yourself or the boat. Okay? Until you get really good. And if you get really good and confident, do whatever you want. By that time, you've got your own business and your own insurance, and you can afford to break stuff. Sometimes just for fun. And now, every time I'm around that corner, I kind of pay attention. I don't want it to pop out again. So it did it when I was right about here, and now I just kind of think my way through it. It did have a little resistance, but it didn't throw me out, so. Yeah, you'll see me going fast every now and then, but realistically, you can just go slow. The chemicals and the buffer do pretty much everything you need them to do. Okay, I'll give you a little look-see on that. Tell me what you think. Well, I mean, don't tell me what you think, but you can just kind of see this, and there's a little bit of reflection. Now, I'm not trying to get this absolutely perfect. This is Super Duty after all, so all it needs to be is kind of glossy and shiny without a reflection of oxidized sunshine. That's all it needs to be, and I have that. So I'm going to continue this around, go around the rest of the boat here, and when I get to the bow, I will stop and I will come back and I'll do all of this again with heavy cut, and I will show you exactly what that looks like. So if you'll sit back, give me a sec, I'll finish the rest of this boat up. Now that the top's been beaten to death with heavy or Super Duty, I'm going to go ahead and switch the pad over, which I already have. Got a little heavy cut here. Remember, it's not the bottle, it's the product. Spread this out and just work this little area. Edges first.
I'm going to go back to the office and keep
In doing all these passes, all these slow, long passes, my goal inside my mind, I'm trying to make a nice, flat, smooth surface. I'm preparing the foundation for the next step with the Perfected EXXC. And I want to make sure that all the rough scratches and all the uneven spots left behind with Super Duty, there are some, I know it, you know it, there are some, get taken care of so that everything is as even as I can possibly make it with the heavy cut. After that, when you're using the Perfected, you're not trying to dig in anywhere or even anything out. You're just trying to polish. You're just trying to make sure that everything has the highest sheen and reflectivity that you can possibly give it. So the first two passes with the Super Duty and then the Heavy Cut, these are my work passes. Now the last, well, not the last step. So typically when I get it this shiny, I can usually just foam pad it with a little Perfected EXAC. So you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Let me put you on pause for just a second. Okay, so when you're putting a backing plate on, you don't need a spindle nut. You just screw it right onto the spindle. And it has to be that tight. No tighter. That's it. So I grab my Perfected, give it a little shaky shake. Put way too much on. And then start moving this around. I'll spread some of this out. There we go. Okay, I'll show you this just so that you see what I see when I think I'm done. So you can get an idea of what I'm looking at here. So you'll notice there's some nice clean lines. There is a little swirl, but it's not because of a swirl. It's just the lines left over by the foam pad as it passed over this. So I've got a little bit more to go. Wrap around the front, get up here. Once that's done, I will strip it, wax it, call the top side good. Actually, that's not true. I have to get below that that handle there. So I'm going to hop down, work on the outside of the boat, on the top from the outside. Now, let me put you on pause and I'll wipe this up and you can see what it looks like. All right, wiped off. You might notice a little difference. Okay. So with that, I'm pretty happy. I'm content with that. So again, I'll continue on with the outside of the boat once I get the top done. Once that's done, I'll strip it and wax it. Right now, what I'm trying to show you is a process that I always talk about and I hardly ever show because it's really boring. But if you wanted to watch it, here we go. So I'm going to use a stripper, and this is CMX by Mothers. You can use anything you want, window cleaner, white vinegar and water, Dawn dishwashing soap, whatever. I'm not going to wash the whole boat, so I'm just going to spot clean it. So the way that this works, I apply the stripper to the surface, and then I take one rag, my dirty rag, and I just kind of clean that up. But wait, there's more. Because after that, then you take a clean rag and you clean up all the residual from the spray and the stuff that was on there. So when you first spray it on, the spray mixes with the oils and the crap that's on the boat, and your first rag kind of agitates all that and gets it loose and off the gel coat, and then once it starts to dry, you can take a clean rag and wipe that up. So that's all that is. I'm going to do that to the rest of the boat. You don't have to see that, mostly because it's a pain in the ass to move the camera. Now that it's all stripped and inspected and I like it, I'm taking a soft foam pad, making sure I've cleaned it off. Nothing abrasive on there. I got my fire glaze. I've already shaken it up. I'm going to apply a little bit to the boat and start spreading this out nice and slow. And if you're wondering what that dust is, I've used this pad before with flagship, or I'm sorry, not flagship, fire glaze. So some of it's dusting off now. And now you're in my way, so I'm gonna move you. But basically I go until I can just barely see the polish on the boat. And then I move on. All right? I'm gonna do this to the entire top here. And in no short order, or in very short order, sorry, this should get done. And I'll show it to you once I'm done and we'll take a look at it. In the meantime, sit back, relax. I'll talk to you in a bit. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes I get easily distracted. Usually by something that's alive. Anyway, all right, so just a reminder in case you wanted to taste what this looked like before, and then bing.
Yeah, well, there you go. And now the fun part. This hull. So I'll come back maybe tomorrow. That's going to be a full project. I really don't have the mental capacity in me to deal with this right now. It is super hot, and there's a giant moth in the back of the building that I want to go fuck with. Play with. Anyway, so that's that, and yeah, a hull. So tomorrow I'll have you sitting right about here, and you can see what it takes to get through all that crap. All right? Till then,
Well, it turns out I still owe you a little bit of this boat. So stay tuned, subscribe maybe, get a notification, and it's coming up. The blue yuck.